What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. My name is Sam Thrash, and I'm the host over here at Fall Obsession Podcast. If you guys have listened to our episodes recently, you undoubtedly have heard us talk about Hoot Camo. We normally talk about it here at the beginning in our sponsor segment. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today. And I don't want you guys to feel like you're listening to just a one big promotional recording or video, if you will. But this week, our guest on our show is Robson Pritchett, who is one of the creators and owners behind the Hoot Camo brand. So I invited him to come on the show, not just to talk about his brand, but to just talk about this industry, talk about growing an organization and a company in the hunting and outdoor industry, to talk about hunting, to talk about family in the outdoors. We cover a lot of ground in our hour conversation with one another. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. I hope you guys take something away from it, and I hope it encourages you guys to at least go check out their brand and see what they got going on over there at Hoot Camo. Even if you don't buy anything yourself, I'd certainly encourage you to, but even if you don't buy anything yourself, just to be able to go over there, support them, and see all the great stuff that they're doing, and follow their journey, because they're doing great things over there at Hoot Camo. And it's appropriate at this point to mention that they are a podcast sponsor. They have worked very hard with us over here at Fall Obsession, worked on outfitting some of our team members this year to partner with us, and we're loving the gear. It is awesome stuff. They're a Texas-based company. We talk in this episode about how their patterns are based around the owl, the ultimate predator, if you will, and kind of where the design came from. Very unique, very applicable to so many different environments, not just Texas. They've tested it all across the country in every region. I myself wore it in Colorado this last year, and I talked to Robson about just the versatility of the gear, and we talk about how the patterns work in different environments and every little detail like that. We really get in deep with this stuff in this episode, and it's a great conversation. But Hoot Camo is the podcast partner. Go check them out. They pride themselves in, as he will say in this episode, in making gear that is on par as far as quality with the industry leaders, but is at a price point that blue collar guys can afford. I'm a blue collar guy myself. I talk in this episode about how in the past I've just bought $40 Walmart camo, basically, no shame. But if you want to get into a good set of camouflage, you got to check out Hoot Camo. You'll look at their prices. You can see that if you're wanting to make the investment, they're the best ones for it. And when you go over there and check them out and you want to place an order, if you use the code FALLOBSESSION15 at checkout, you'll save some money. So Hoot Camo, go check them out. Another podcast partner that we have over here at Fall Obsession is Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Derek and Lacey over there in Mississippi. They book hunts with vetted outfitters across the country. Derek has a large network of folks that he works with and folks that he sets his hunters up with. So if you're looking for that next adventure, that once-in-a-lifetime hunt perhaps, give Derek a call. He'll work with you on the details and figure out something that works for you. Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Go check him out. Last but not least, the Outdoor Call radio app is a partner of our podcast. Outdoors Dan from Respect the Game TV. He created an app for hunters and outdoorsmen to stream hunting shows and podcasts on a loop every single day. You'll catch Fall Obsession podcast playing on that loop on Mondays, the same day as our new publications, as well as tons of other hunting shows and podcasts that we all know and love. So go download the Outdoor Call radio app today. It is free. And Outdoors Dan also does a couple of live radio shows every week at local Midwestern radio stations. And even if you're not local to one of those radio stations, he shares them and streams them on his Facebook Live. So go follow him on social media too. That way you guys can check out those live broadcasts. So the Outdoor Call radio app, go check them out. The last thing that I'm going to mention is if you guys are interested in possibly promoting your own brand during this Fall Obsession podcast sponsor segment, we'd love to talk to you about that. Go to fallobsession.com/podcast. That's the page where you guys can fill out a form that'll put you in touch with myself and our production team, and we'll talk about the details, we'll talk analytics, we'll talk expectations, go through all that with you guys and see if we can set you up as a podcast partner. So fallobsession.com/podcast is the webpage that you go to for that. That's all I'm going to say during this segment. We're going to head on over to the episode now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You are listening to another Fall Obsession podcast.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast episode. I'm Sam, I'm hosting you guys, and if you guys have listened to any of our content recently, you undoubtedly have heard about a brand called Hoot Camo, and I'm joined today on our podcast by one of the creators behind that brand, Robson Pritchett. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. We're really digging the stuff. Like we're a couple months into working with you guys and everything, and I don't want our listeners to feel like this is just one big promo, but the gear obviously is a big part of what brought us together, and it's awesome. I'm finding myself like not leaving my house without something Hoot on, is what it seems like, whether it's a t-shirt, a hoodie, or a hat, or whatever. Even if I'm not going to the woods, it seems like I always got something Hoot on. It's comfortable stuff. I like it, man.
Yeah, it's a daily wear for us. It's easy to wear, man. I mean, my favorite color is camo, so it makes it kind of hard not to wear it. But no, it's really comfortable. We've built this whole brand around just stuff that we can wear in the field and anywhere really. Yeah. And so comfortability, quality, and price. That's our three items, and really this year we've dialed those in, and we're excited to have the year we had, and then really excited to see where we go this next year. We got some good things on the books, so
that's awesome.
Getting excited about talking about that.
For sure. Yeah, we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper, but before we do that, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our listeners here on Fall Obsession Podcast, and just tell them about you, kind of where you come from, your background, and tell us why camouflage. What got you into this?
Yeah, so a little bit about me: father of four, husband, and follower of the Lord. That's me. That's who I am, and that's what I stand by. And then for work and for hobby, grew up hunting in South Texas with my dad and all his buddies and all of our family friends. Just really loved the outdoors. Loved being out in deer camp every year. I mean, throughout the season, we're down just having a great time. So just grew up in that whole community of deer hunters, trophy whitetail hunters. And so one of my dad's best friends, he'd come up with this idea 30 plus years ago, shooting quail and out of hunting vehicles in South Texas. And we were still young. We were all, me and Steven and all the kids were sitting in the high seat, and all the dads were shooting quail. Anyways, Glenn had come up with this idea for camouflage, and he had toyed with it. And obviously we're young. Well, when I got out of college, we were sitting at deer camp, and he repitched it to me, and he had told me about the owl camouflage. And I was like, man, that is so unique. It's so different. This is 12, 13 years ago. And I was like, well, I really like that. Pin it, just got out of school, wet behind the ears, was chasing an engineering career. And between then and now, we three of us are in the construction world here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and then one of Casey is actually in the advertising space. And so we kind of have a broad background of blue collar work. And about 3 years ago, I told Glenn I'd come up with the word Hoot, and then met Casey, and he put the pattern together, and I repitched it to Glenn. And this is 30 plus years of him manifesting and talking to all his friends. Nobody really bit. So I repitched it to him, and we went all in 3 years ago, January, actually. It's been 3 years almost to the date. And man, we've had quite the journey since. The first 2 years was really just figuring out manufacturing, figuring out the fit and the pattern, and field testing with the Montana, Colorado, all throughout Texas. What works, what's not working. So that was 2 years. Yep. And then this past year we released the full line. So yeah, that's the brand. We can get into what we did this past year differently, and we're excited to see what we're excited to go into 2024 with a mission. We've built some really good relationships, like Fall Obsession and a few other guys in the field. We have a bunch of outfitters rocking us this year, battle testing the gear, and slow and steady for us. This is all organic. This is all, we're funding everything. So it's a true small business.
Yeah.
But we have our eyes set on, some cool horizons and really just outfitting as many people as we can in unique and badass camo. So
yeah, man, I remember when we met you, and then as we've gotten to know you guys more and everything, it's just so much of what we're trying to do has aligned in various ways, I feel like, and the organic growth was something that I know when we met for the first time that you talked about that, and that was something that really kind of resonated with me, because this industry is very hard to grow in organically. It is, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of consistency to set yourself apart and to really do that, as we ourselves have learned. So I respect anybody that makes that their mission, to grow purely based on their own fundamentals, their own mission, and all that. It's not always easy, but it's rewarding for sure to see it pay off.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. We always talk about bringing in, what does it look like if we got to bring in capital, and we're all businessmen in our day jobs, and this is our hobby business. And at some point, we hope and pray to take this on full time and push this into the masses. But right now, we're just having a great time, really just learning the industry, being a part of the network, and then producing. I mean, manufacturing it's a unique, we don't have manufacturing backgrounds, so it's a unique experience every time we go through product development and figuring out, okay, this does work, this doesn't work. And like I said, it's been a long 3 years of doing that. And this year we produced some, what we would say, our foundation of the gear. And I think we did a good job. Obviously, putting it in hands like you guys to battle test it, say this doesn't work or this does work, this is awesome, maybe tweak something here. We have a lot of friends in the industry doing that for us right now, and that's important to us. And so over the next couple of years, we'll continue to do that and continue to grow our name. But right now, man, we're just having fun doing the small things well.
That's awesome. So I wanna go through this kind of a little bit step by step here, but talk a little bit more about the concept of your pattern. The concept you referenced the owl earlier and how that was kind of pitched in the beginning, but talk about that. What is unique about this pattern? What makes it work?
So the owl is one of the most camouflaged predators in the wild. Has been for 2+ million, many millions of years. So we're going back to nature. Originally, bird hunting in South Texas couldn't find about half the birds that were being shot, and an idea was curated through that concept, taking it away from the twigs and the foliage and going to animals, two birds specifically, camouflage bird, and the owl being a predator. And I don't know if you've been hunting and hear an owl. Oftentimes we hear owls sitting in a tree stand or just in the field. How many times have you seen one? They're so camouflaged and they're so elusive that really sparked the idea of the owl. And there's a lot of owls that are indigenous to wide range. Say a quail may not be indigenous in certain areas, but owls are very widespread in the USA and even in the world. So we said the owl, and so this pattern, we developed it off of 3 of the most widespread owls in the United States. And then we meshed those into one pattern. And what that does is give us some color blocks. And just like any of the digital camo you see or any of the Mossio camo, you're going to see color blocks and just like the camo technology, but it's all 100% owl feathers. All comes from the owl. So that's our unique, piece of our camo. And, first year camo, we called it the backwoods, and it was a little bit bigger, a little splotchier. And then we dialed it in and really this year we launched 3 patterns. And so we have the Sky Tiger, the Buho, and the Sentinel. And those are really wide range. So we can take those in the field and pretty much anywhere in the United States, and we can get camouflaged.
Yeah. Man, I haven't told you this yet. I wanted to not send it a text because it's a really funny story. But my last hunt of the season down here in Texas, I'm wearing my Hoot gear. I'm sitting in a tree stand, and it's before lights, morning hunt, and I start hearing owls, like three of them, like in a triangle around me, talking to each other, and they're sounding off. I'm like, man, this is really cool. Just knowing the history with y'all's brand and stuff. Well, one of them moved at one point and it got closer, and it was like on the other side of the clearing. I couldn't see it, but it's still dark, but it was on the other side of the clearing. And I'm like, man, these things are getting really close. And then it flies into the tree that I am sitting in, like a branch 10 feet from me, and it sits right there, and it's just sitting there looking around. And I'm like, this is so freaking cool. I'm wearing an owl camouflage pattern right here, and a freaking owl just landed right next to me. And unfortunately, it was still low light enough. I tried to get my camera on it to video it, but it was too low light for my camera to make anything out. I wish it would have been daylight for that reason, but it was still really, really cool to have that owl just land right next to you with all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was neat.
That's awesome, man. He thought you were one of the homeboys.
Yeah. Well, and I'll rabbit trail briefly here. I was a little worried at first when I started hearing these owls, because years ago, like this is probably, I don't know, 15 years ago or I don't know how long ago, but I was bow hunting in a tree one morning. Same scenario, early light, camouflaged out, and I'm watching this owl fly around on the opposite side of the trail I'm hunting, just silhouette against the skyline, still dark outside. And I watch it land at this tree a little ways away, and it's just kind of sitting there, and then it starts flying toward me. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? It keeps coming, and it smacks me in the side of the head and flies off, like body slams my head. It rocked me better than I thought it would, if I'm being honest. And I'm like, what in the world just happened? And so when I got back, I started doing a little bit of research, and I learned that owls knock their prey out of trees onto the ground so they can fly down and get it. And I realized everything was camoed except for this right here of my face. So as I'm watching this owl fly around, it's seeing just the white of my face moving around. It thinks I'm a small critter or something up there in the tree that it can eat. So it was probably equally as surprised when it ran into me and I didn't go anywhere. So I've had some unique experiences with owls in the woods in recent years. So
yeah, that's incredible. That's an incredible story. That's crazy.
Yeah, I never thought in a million years that would happen. Yeah, I was glad he body slammed me and didn't try to come feet first at me or something like that. But
golly, yeah, man, that's it, man. That's the camo, and it's crazy how it works. You get into the shadows, and this is not something that we meant. It's just something that just happens with the owl patterning. Is you get into the shadows, and it's crazy how the camo kind of transforms, and it's truly camouflage. And then you get out in the sunlight, and it looks bright and colorful, and you can get in the grass, and it just totally transforms in the shade versus in the sun. And we've been on rock bluffs with the buho pattern, and then gone into the trees with the buho pattern, and you think, oh, how is this gray rock bluff gonna do versus this green piney wood forest? And it's incredible what it does, man. It just darkens up, and we can't really explain it, but God had some favor for us there. So
yeah, I mean, you said it. You designed it off of one of the most ultimate predators, one of the nature's most naturally camouflaged animals, and those animals are camouflaged like that for a reason, And man, I've been impressed with it, because when I first pitched it and talked about you guys to our staff as far as the masses, the first questions were, well, does it work outside of Texas? That was like the first generic question that we got, folks not having heard of you guys before. And me having only hunted in Texas is like, yeah, they have demoed it all across the country in different states, different environments, and I had a little spiel and everything to go with that. But I truly got to experience it myself in Colorado, and you guys were awesome and Johnny on the spot, making sure that we had gear going up there for that mule deer hunt. But I didn't know what to expect. A part of me didn't, just one, I never hunt up there in the first place, but two, flatland, just fields and everything.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by how well that pattern, that buho pattern did up there. It was the same deal. Like, we had snow the first few days, and it's one thing if you just walk out into the middle of a cut wheat field that's covered in snow. I mean, yeah, that's pretty white. That's hard to blend into, with any pattern. But when we got into the trees, when we got into some of the grasses, even with the snow there, I went back and looked when we were editing the video at a bunch of the footage the guys had of me in the snow, and I was like, man, like the grays and the whites are popping right now. The grays and the whites in the pattern are popping with the environment I'm in. And then you flash forward to a few days later, the snow's gone and we're in the grass. It's like, well, now all the browns are popping. It's crazy.
Really, yeah, it is. It's man, it's an awesome. We stand behind it. Obviously, it's our brand and we love it. We want to take it to the masses because it is such a good camouflage, and the quality of our gear has been the forefront of everything. The camo speaks for itself.
Right.
Telling the story speaks for itself. Now, how do we get that out to the masses? But we want to make sure our quality's there, manufacturing is ready to roll. And that's really taking it step by step. And like 2024, we've got some really cool things coming out. Really just honing in on what our product line was this year, but really trying to get some good marketing out there, really do a little bit of traveling, showing that just what you said, showing that it'll work in Montana, showing that it'll work in Wyoming, Idaho, Michigan, so we're looking at doing a small tour and doing some good hunting and just showing that it is versatile in many regions. We've got a lot of customers all over really the map, Washington, Oregon, all the way west, South Carolina, Florida. So it's people see it, and we obviously talk where we run all of our own stuff. So when you're talking to us on social media, it's typically me. And we're very open with our information. So, if you got questions, you just hit us up, man. We'd love to support or at least get something into your hands so you can start seeing it.
That's awesome. So how, for those that obviously haven't, maybe they've heard of you guys, but they haven't had gear in hand or anything like that, what sets you guys apart, and how does your gear stack up against those industry leaders? And I know there's a lot of great companies out there that make great quality gear. We could sit here and name a bunch of them, but how does your gear compare to them?
So our big goal when starting this thing was to make the same quality. That's the goal. Obviously getting there is going to take time because they've spent many, many years developing these lines of camo that are awesome. We look up to all the big brands. We look up to basically every brand that does this because it is not easy. But what we said is we want the same quality, but we want it to be affordable, right? I mean, we're mossy oak real tree hunters. I mean, we're blue collar hunters. We're weekend warriors. We all have kids, and we didn't grow up chasing elk in the mountains of Colorado, so we didn't really see all that. The Sitkas and the QUs. We're just Texas boys, and so we saw the industry going that way. And we said, man, we love all that gear, but it's hard for me to justify spending that much money on gear. And so really, and we have a lot of friends that feel the same way, and a lot of friends that have that gear and love it. And we have some ourselves. But we wanted to bring the best quality camo to the market at an affordable price. So, and it works, and I think it's different too. It's not just another digital pattern.
Right.
It is something totally different, and it's something that can conceal you in the field, whether you're in a box blind or in a tree stand or chasing elk in Wyoming or wherever, and we pride ourselves on having that camouflage be so versatile, and then having the quality and ruggedness to stand behind it. And there's going to be pieces, I'm sure, that will fail, and we've had pieces fail. And that's where we rely on our relationships to say, hey, this is snagging, this is doing whatever, this is a weak point, and then we'll start fixing it And I think that's the relatability and the touchableness is I think we'll try to carry forward throughout the lifetime of the brand.
Yeah. Yeah, that obviously that's a big question for anybody, right? Who's looking, if they're looking to get into a quality set, obviously, what is the quality? You know, what can it do? And I know that was a question that we were asking at the very beginning when we first met with you guys, and you know, you right from the get-go, first time we meet, you know, you're handing us gear like, hey, try this, see what you think, you know, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Nick Powell, our production director, he was with me the first time we met, and one of his first questions for you was, well, how does it, you know, how's the material hold up with brush, with, you know, cactus, stickers, you know, all the stuff we have down here in Texas. And you reassured us, you're like, it just kind of brushes off, it slides off, it, you know, it's great. And I'm the same way. Like I've grown up blue collar guy. I've had all real tree patterns before, you know, and just Walmart camo basically, you know. And so I've torn plenty of pairs of pants and ruined gear, you know, in shorter periods of time just because it's cheap and that's what I get. But the first real hunt that I'm on is the one in Colorado, which I didn't realize this in those CRP fields, how much briars and burrs and pokey stuff there is up there, just as much as there is down here in Texas. And Tim, our guy up there, he told me pretty early on, before our first hunt even, when he was looking at the Hoot gear, he's like, well, you're about to battle test that stuff all right with all the walking you're about to do. He's like, you'll find out if stuff sticks to that or anything. And for 7 days, man, I'm going out in the field, and I would come back some after some of these walks and some of these hunts, like my boot laces would be dang near matted with stickers and everything, but there wasn't a scratch or a loose thread on my gear. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like it literally just brushes off. And then the other question too was just, well, how warm is it? Because, you know, we're up there in Colorado, we're wearing heavyweight, quote unquote, heavyweight gear. And it's like, well, you know, we're dealing with temps, particularly early in the trip, that are single digits teens, you know, single digits with the wind chill. And I'm wearing, like, I put on a good base layer. I'm wearing maybe just a t-shirt just cuz, really, it's not really doing anything, but a t-shirt over that, and then y'all's Hoot fleece, and then your heavyweight stuff. And that's it. And I was 100% comfortable the entire time I was up there. I felt like I wasn't restricted or anything with my movement, stuff like that. I could still draw my bow in the cold and all this other stuff. I was very happy with it. And flash forward to a couple weeks later, I go on our veteran hunt down here in Texas, and we had to drive in to the stand we were hunting in a side-by-side with no windshield, and it was like a 30-minute drive. And everybody's bundling up, like every layer they have in their bag they're putting on, they're just bundling up. You know, one guy comes walking out looking like the Michelin Man, and I just put on the same stuff I wore in Colorado, like same layers, everything, and look normal. And they're all looking at me like, you're about to freeze. I'm like, no, I'll be fine. I was like, maybe my hands will get cold, my face, but I was like, I'll be fine. They're like, whatever. Same deal. Like right in that side by side, like the wind doesn't cut through it or anything like that. It just it withstands the test. So I'm not trying to make our listeners feel like they're just listening to one big promo, but I mean it's a quality product in the industry, man, and I'll stand by it. It's served me very well in the couple quick months that I've been rocking the gear. So
yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, man. The layering systems, and this was our first year to do the full. So last year we had the cold gear, the insulated stuff, the top layer, jacket and pant, and we had a base layer. That's it. That was all we had last year. And so this year the big push 2023 was, okay, let's get the full system. Lightweight pants came in a little late, but which we'll launch those for the spring. But everything else was we had the base layer. We had the fleece, which we call that our mid layer. It's a quarter zip. That's what I'm wearing now. And then we had the jacket. And there's tweaks that we'll go into 2024 with, but we're really happy with how the jacket, I mean, it's water resistant, damn near waterproof.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the rating on how long you can stay in the rain, but I've been in rain. I've hunted in a lot of rain, and I've never been wet. But it's not necessarily waterproof, very water resistant. But with that comes wind resistance, which in the field, man, a wind will kill your hunt. If you get too cold, if it's cutting through your gear, it'll kill you. So that was a big piece for us, is having that jacket perform the way it needed to. And then the poly fleece is just thick enough for a mid layer that you can wear it in the 60s, or you can layer up. I mean, I've had guys wear this in the 30s and be okay.
Yeah.
Texas boys can't do that, but the northern guys, I mean, they were rocking this in 35 and very comfortable. I'm like, man, y'all are awesome. But it just goes to show, like, proper layering, and that's where the industry's gone. We're really focused on staying in that trend, and it helps also with shedding layers, right? You shed your jacket, you're too hot, or you open your vents up, and you definitely don't want to sweat in that jacket. So it's like just having those options to be as comfortable as possible in the field while staying fully concealed.
Yeah, exactly. Man, so what, you've alluded to it a couple times. What are you willing to share with us as far as what's on the horizon for 24 for your brand?
Yeah, so we've actually partnered with a couple different brands on some opportunities to manufacture some gear. Can't really speak too much about that. There's a little bit on the waterfowl side. Well, a lot on the waterfowl side. So that's a question we get a lot. Are you a waterfowl brand? Are you a whitetail? Are you an elk brand? Where do we? And the answer is pretty simple. We're not pigeonholed into any brand. We're a very broad, we're all around hunting brand. We want you to be able to take this gear to whatever scenario you're doing. And that's a big focus of ours, right? You're going upland. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be able to walk around the fields. You're going in a tree stand. We want you to be comfortable and warm, and or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, we're definitely not pigeonholing ourselves into any specific style of hunting. But we will have specific things, like over the next 2 years, we want to get into the wader game. We'll probably try to we'll probably do some licensing. We're still looking at some of that. Maybe try to find somebody that's really good at waders to carry our pattern. And what that does is it gets good name brand gear and gets our pattern out to the masses a little bit with a proven brand that, I mean, if we go and develop our own waders, which maybe that's in the cards, I'm not sure, but it's a big ask. And so I was like, man, we'll let the guys that do waterfowl specific gear be really good at that, and hopefully work a deal with one of those guys to carry us. Same with the bow, the bow hunting market. We've got some deals working with a couple bow manufacturers.
Awesome. And
trying to get a Sky Tiger on a couple bows and Buho on a couple bows. Really just pushing to get our name out there, get our pattern out there, be able to have guys support us in other ways other than just buying camo. So we got some good stuff coming. Bibs, we're really looking at getting a set of bibs. For us Texas boys, wearing a good set of bibs is always fun. But yeah, we'll probably stick to the game plan with what we had this year and then add a couple more pieces.
Awesome, man. Well, that's very cool. What, and you've already touched on the quality and everything, but just as far as, and if you want to dive a little bit more into just your price point and everything, what can a consumer, like a guy listens to this podcast, for example, is like, man, I'm going to go check him out. I want some new camo, and he wants to get into a good quality set. What's the big price break? What's affordable for them getting into a good set of camo compared to these other companies?
I mean, for our insulated pant and jacket, for example, for the set full retail price, you're looking at $330 for the top of the line insulated pant and jacket. $330, not to mention, and kind of tell on us a little bit, Fall Obsession, we give all of our partners and partner brands discount codes. We're very generous with the discount codes because, I mean, we're a new brand. We want you to buy our gear, but we're not, we're looking to get it in your hands. I mean, there's going to be some, how do you say it? It's hard to break the barrier on $330 for a brand you never heard of.
Right.
And so we've produced the lightweight pants that are super comfortable. We have a tan that we're about to launch. It's an everyday pant that we can rock to the office. So we're trying to tap into some lower, so a little bit cheaper items. So like the lightweight pants, I think they're going for $70, maybe a little cheaper. And then this fleece pullover is affordable. I mean, just really just pushing that limit of, okay, how can we get it in everybody's hands, get everybody to start buying a piece at a time. One product in particular we have that I would like to push this spring is the mesh pullover.
Mm-hmm.
So that mesh pullover is super breathable. It's got mesh all the way down the cuff, all the way down the shirt, mesh hood, which you can still see out of peripherals. Got a built-in mask, so it's a great turkey shirt. And obviously you can wear it as a base layer or whatnot. So that's a really unique, very affordable piece. If you want to just see the camo, get you a pair of lightweight pants in that mesh pullover, man. It's good. You'll have some fun and chasing some turkeys around.
Man, I love that mesh pullover. It's obviously, since we got into the gear, it's been colder, so that hadn't been the only thing. But if anything, I've always been weary of like pullovers or shirts that have a built-in like mask, or face covering in there. But I like that one. I thought, legit, no joke, y'all have probably made the first one that I actually like, just because I feel like I can wear it underneath the rest of my stuff, and the face covering's not restrictive or anything. It doesn't feel that way. It's easy on, easy off, and I just like wearing it underneath whatever else I'm wearing, just for the cover. That I'll just do that. And obviously, like you're talking, spring, warmer temps, early season bow hunting in Texas too. It's like that's going to be my go-to right there. I love that thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, that mask. So last year we had, last spring when we launched it, it was like a full turtleneck. So it was built into the neck of the shirt, and then would go up. Well, we had another run of it release in November, and we cut it to where you could put it behind your neck, and it would fall down in the shirt. So it was an option, right? You could use it, keep it under your chin or over your face, or you could put it behind you and it'd fall in the back of your shirt, and it was like, it wasn't there. So that was a cool feature. We really just, sometimes I didn't want it right here, to have the option. And so that's one of those things is we didn't know that until we started wearing it. It's like, hey, this would be a cool option.
Yeah.
And so, man, that's a piece, that's a low-hanging fruit piece. We'd encourage everybody to pick one of those up, because get the Fall Obsession code and go get one of those. And if you got any questions about, which pattern would work where, and just reach out to us on social, because we can coach you through whatever.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And I know I give you guys a plug during our, at the beginning of all of our podcasts and our little sponsor segment. And if you guys are interested in that code, it's in that beginning, and I'll plug it at the end when we wrap up here. But I'll reassure everybody and talk to, again, coming from a guy that was a Walmart camo, spend $40 out the door on everything you thought you needed, that was me. I'll reassure everybody that camouflage, if you're looking to get into a good set, it's an investment, and you guys have broken the barrier, as you've talked about, on not having to charge a complete arm and a leg and half of your savings account, for a full set of camo, like some other brands might. For a $40 Walmart camo guy, $330, that, for some that's doable. For others, it's like, man, I need to think about it for a minute. I just want to reassure everybody that this gear is going to last. Like, it's not something that you buy and a year or a couple years later you're having to buy and, get more and more. The stuff's going to last. Like, I have, not intentionally, but I have lived up to the term battle testing this year with what I have done in Hoot gear, and it still looks like it just came out of the package. Like, it has far exceeded my expectations of durability. So it's an investment, and I encourage people to make that investment for sure. Good gear makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I will. I'll second. Kind of go on a little rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I've watched. So I know a lot of hunters that don't wash their hunting gear much, and I understand that. But I wash the crap out of this stuff. One, because I want to see how it does, and two, I'll sit by a campfire and I just can't stand getting in a tree and smell like campfire. So I wash it like crazy, cold water, and I dry some of it. I hang up the insulated stuff. I dry everything else. Obviously scent free stuff, but man, I have not seen any fade, and not to toot any horns. This comes humbly, but it's like, man, we've really, really focused on providing a gear that's going to last. And we want you to buy it one time. Now, if you got issues, you hit us up. If something's ripping or something's breaking, you got to let us know, because that's how we get better.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's we're excited to be on the journey. Like I said before, we're four regular guys with a bunch of kids and day jobs, and we're just hobbyists. And we're hoping to grow this thing and go on full time with it, but slow and steady. And we'll stay humble about it. And if you want to join the team and rep the gear, man, you just hit us up, and we'd love to outfit you.
That's awesome. Well, man, I want to talk a little bit of hunting while I have you too. How was your 23 season?
23, man. So 2022 was a tough one. We had a big drought here in Texas, and it hit our ranch pretty hard. I hunt on 200 acres just north of y'all, actually, in Grant, and just south of Graham in Young County. And we saw some good deer this year. We saw some bucks that passed through. We saw a lot of good promising deer. I think we're still on the backside of that big drought from 2 years ago. Obviously, we had some big heat advisories. We had 8 weeks of heat advisory this year. It was really hot out there. Water source was pretty good, but we're just really trying to let those deer recover, let the herd recover. We were seeing a little less deer than we did 3 years ago. So slow and steady. So it was a slow year for us. We did some duck hunts. Duck hunting was a little slow with the warm weather. I think it's just now picking up. But it was, all in all, was good. I got to get 3 of my kids out in the deer stand for a couple times, and got to stay in the camper. Just be a dad at deer camp and show them what that looks like. So really, that was our focus this year, is having fun at deer camp and drinking too much soda and whatever that looks like. But hunting, we're going to turn it up this next year. We've got some trips planned. We got some outfitters that we're gonna go chase some whitetails and get some good content. Some of these ranches, one thing that we're pushing is our custom program. We've teamed up with a bunch of ranches and outfitters and getting their logos on our stuff. We do everything in house, and it's a turnkey deal. It's pretty inexpensive. And so we've had some opportunities to go down and see these ranches and check out some of these beautiful deer. So we're excited about that. And then we'll chase our own deer on our land, and we're looking forward to 24. That's
awesome, man. Yeah, the drought's no joke that we've been dealing with. We're kind of you just said it. Our properties aren't that far from each other, and we're in a similar boat. We saw really good deer this year, but a lot of events that just led to it being a lean season. So, but we had a good time out there all the same.
Yeah,
that's what matters.
Yeah, what I it's like our 5.5-year-olds and up went. They lost it during the drought, man. I don't know what it was, man. We haven't seen really any old deer. We've seen a lot of young deers, 3.5, 4.5-year-olds, but as far as a mature deer, we really haven't seen them. And we hunt it pretty hard. This year was our first year with cameras. We're old school. We like to trophy hunt and really like to hunt it. We put some cameras out this year with what happened last year, and it was pretty eye-opening to see the nocturnal patterns. One thing that Chad Jones talked about on the Fall Session podcast, and it's like, man, that's really eye-opening, because we didn't overhunt it because we were weary, and we saw some good deer, but those mature bucks, man, I don't know if they made it. So
yeah, no, man, what I'm learning about this area that we're in is just it seems like they're still in there. I can't explain where they go, what they do, even why they do it all the time. But we had decent deer year one because we're 3 years into this place. Year one was decent. Year two was kind of same story. You couldn't find in 2022. You couldn't find a mature deer almost to save your life. Like it just they weren't out there. And then this year until the rut hit, it was like every day, some stands, if not multiple stands, just absolute brutes. We had one that I will bet money that he was over 160, like biggest deer we've seen on the property. He was a monster, and we thought we had him pegged. Like we thought that we would kill this deer because at first he was on Nick's stand for a while and hanging out there, and then he moved to a much more favorable spot for us. He was just making a triangle every couple of days between three of our stands, between the two of us, and we're like, this is a dead deer. It's only a matter of time at this point. And obviously that didn't happen. And several other mature bucks that were, I mean, it's Texas. We're not talking, Boone and Crockett stuff, but 130, 140 class deer that I would have put an arrow through, no problem. So, but as soon as that rut hit, as rut came and went, is like ghost town, just nowhere to be found. So,
yeah, it's going to be a good 2024, man. I think the deer, praying for some water this year. I think we should get pretty wet in the spring, and that should help get some good crop and let them eat and really get those antlers growing. And man, I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I'm not a bow hunter, but I am gonna buy my first bow this year.
Awesome.
And I'm looking forward to jumping into that scene. And it's hard with kids, so I got to figure out. I'm gonna send all the kids with dad in a box stand, and I'm gonna go get in a tree. But yeah, I'm excited to see that, man. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's kind of I'm a big bow hunter, bow hunt only at this point, and that definitely with a kid, because my son, he's 5.5, so he's wanting to get out there, wanting to learn about it. He's very intrigued by hunting and everything because he sees me and my dad. I still hunt with my dad, so he sees all of us out there. And my dad doesn't bow hunt, and my dad this past year he did take him a couple times, hunting with him in his rifle blind so that I could go bow hunt, and my son ate that up. He loved hunting with pops, and but I also got to take him even bow hunting with me. And I remember my wife, she asked me, because we were all out there that trip, and she was like, why are you taking him bow hunting? Like, you're not going to see anything. I was like, or you're not going to kill anything. That's what she said. And I was like, this hunt is not about me killing anything. Like, yes, I'm going to take my bow. Knowing my luck, it will probably be the one hunt where that monster buck walks through. But I was like, I'm going to take my bow, but it's for him, and it was a teaching moment, and we did see, a couple does, which was good, that he had a positive experience. He saw a deer. He was all excited about it, but, it was a learning experience for him. And that's what it's about. And, we're going to build upon that next year with him, because for Christmas, we bought him his first little compound bow, just a little, youth bow, but a bow that has a lot of growing room and everything that he actually can hunt with one day if he wants to, but it fits him now at 5.5. So he's all excited now in the off season, to start shooting with dad and everything. And as we get in the off season, I still have it, a little 22 long rifle. That was the first gun that my dad ever put in my hand that, got me shooting when I was his age. Low recoil, not very loud, pretty easy for a kid to learn on and stuff. And so this summer, that's going to be another thing that him and I are going to start doing, is we're going to pull that 22 out and let him actually start shooting a little bit, and just build upon it every year. I'm pretty excited. I'm excited talking about it. Just get him out there and let him get the bug.
Yeah. We're building the next generation of hunters. We have a lot of young guys we got a couple on our pro staff or our brand ambassador program. But it's pretty promising to see these young hunters getting out in the field, whether it be deer hunting or waterfowl, and they just got the bug like we did. Yeah. And that's really encouraging. we were a little weary. What is it going to look like in 15 years or 10 years or 20 years? And to see the next generation take the baton and continue to grow it and carry it on. You go to a hunting show and you have a lot of young guys there, and it's really encouraging. With that, alluding to what we got going on for 2024, we are going to we're going to do a kind of a limited release on kids gear.
Awesome.
So matching dad, we're going to have, we'll definitely have the upper stuff, and probably a lightweight pant. We'll see. We may do a small run of everything, and we just actually got all our samples in. So we're really teeing up to get a full kit on the kids and to go to the shows with the full kit for the kids. Cause I mean, that's what we stand with. I mean, that we've got them, we've got all the kids, and we want them with us.
Yeah.
And so building that next generation of hunters is very important to us. And with the kids gear, I think that'll open that door for them.
That's awesome, man. I'm super pumped to hear that. My son will be all over that once y'all release it. We'll be placing an order because he's gonna want to match dad for sure. That's gonna be awesome. So
it's cool, man. It's cool to see it on our kids. We got it all in. We're loading them down with the gear, and it's just funny to see a kid in that kind of camouflage. It's just great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
But
well,
yeah, man. Show wise, are y'all doing any shows this year?
Man, we're trying to bounce around a little bit. I went to DSC and hung out there for a while, couple weeks ago, whenever that was, and met some good people, made some good connections up there. Got to see one of our good buddies down here in Texas that has another podcast, Johnny Mack from the Soul Seeker Show. I got to watch him give a bear hunting seminar out there, and it just spending some good time with some good people, and we got some other shows on our radar. I haven't over the spring and summer, I haven't committed to any just yet, but there's definitely some I'm interested in attending. And then our goal is to be at the Fort Worth Texas Trophy Hunters with a booth. We've actually never had a booth of our own at one of these shows yet, and our goal is that this year is going to be the first year at Trophy Hunters. Folks are going to actually be able to every day, come by the Fall Obsession booth, hang out. We'll have merch, we'll have videos playing, we'll be talking to people. We're gonna build something with our booth to where we can actually be recording live podcasts there from the show and everything. So we're gonna make an experience out of it and let people come hang out and enjoy it and talk hunting with us. Where I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be awesome. Yeah,
that's a good show, man. That's one of the shows we cut our teeth on, and this past year we did a podcast with the Bayou Dragons in our booth, and just a cool experience. And the one thing about the shows, man, is everybody in this industry is very accommodating, and man, we all love the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's really encouraging to be around people that have the same values, and man, it's just awesome to see and good to be a part of. So we're definitely going to try to do a couple of the Texas Trophy Hunter shows, a couple waterfowl shows as well. And man, like I said, we're four regular guys that have day jobs. So getting to these shows and spending a week at these shows, it's a task as a father and an employee or business owner. It's something else.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. And that's been, and this is the blue collar side of, of our thing. 'Cause for anybody that might be coming and listening to this podcast coming from your end, that's not familiar with Fall Obsession, like I'm in the same boat. I don't work for Fall Obsession full time. I'm a firefighter full time. So it's like, same deal, wife, young kids, being able to travel and go to, especially during the quote unquote show season, which is like January into the spring. It's like, there's a show almost every weekend somewhere that people are going to. Yeah. And it's like, I just can't do that, being a family man right now. But, we definitely have more on our radar and are trying to do as much as we can in the show realm, because that, as I have been educated on and as I've learned, that's in this industry, that's where you make connections. You can reach out online, and I'm not dogging that, because that's how we got connected, was through social media in the first place. But you can reach out online to companies, and it's easy for a message to be not seen or ignored or that kind of thing. But when you can actually talk in person with these brands and their representatives, and network, from that way, and have them learn from you directly what you're all about, that's where you build relationships in any industry, especially this one. So
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, good.
for sure, man. So we'll start heading for home with our podcast, at least our recording time here this evening. But I do have a couple questions for you that I like to ask, since this is your first time on our show. We got a couple first time questions we ask all of our new guests. And the first one's pretty simple. What is one of your favorite hunting memories to date? And tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, I've got a couple.
Yeah.
So actually this year, got to go to West Texas and chase some sandhill crane.
Yes.
And it was wasn't too cold of a morning, but we were seeing them, hearing them, kind of a slow morning, shot a couple crane, and we saw some specks flying pretty high, and then a group of specks was flying in, and we're like, all right, let's get them. And we all shoot at this group of 8. We drop one bird. 5 shooters drop one bird, which is awful. No, everybody shot the one bird. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And we get it back over to the layout blinds and end up being a banded spec. So that was my first band as a group, and so that was a really cool experience for me. Not growing up waterfowl hunting, and then being a few years into it, and then seeing and just feeling that excitement. That was a really fun story. But one of my all-time favorites is we were hunting in Catula. I was maybe 20, 21, but me and Dad, man, we love sitting in the stand together. We love talking and just kind of falling asleep and just hanging out. And we had this trophy deer walk out in front of us. And I told Dad, I was like, dude, that's him. That's a mature deer. Well, it was kind of early in the season. We're like, well, let's let him breed a little bit, and surely he'll be back. Well, he walks over under a tree. He's probably 50 yards away from us, maybe a little closer, and he beds down under this large mesquite tree. And we watched the sun go down, and we watched him the whole time, and we never saw that deer again. And it was a really hard pill to swallow at that age. Uh-huh. But that is my favorite story, because it just taught me that, man, it's really not about killing that deer. It's about being a trophy hunter and letting it breed the next round. And, I'm sure we saw his genetics spread through that ranch for the next, until we got off of it. And so that's one of my favorite stories. I mean, it was painful at the time, but to really be a true conservationist and trophy hunter. Wife gets on to me all the time. She's like, you don't go hunt, you go watch. You never bring anything home. It's like, man, I love deer meat, and I'll take a doe, or I'll take, cull buck or whatever. But to watch these deer mature and be strategic about it, it's really unique, and that is the sport for me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it. And that was an eye-opening moment for me. And that's one of my favorite stories, because it was so majestic, man. South Texas sunset, see the deer over to the right under the tree. You're like, man, that's my deer. That's the one I'm going to take. And then to never see it again, it's just humbling. Yeah. And it just shows you got to be out in the field to get them. And sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
do you regret not taking it?
No, I don't. That probably was the biggest deer I've ever seen on the hoof, low fence. It was probably a 180 plus class deer, really, really dark horns, really heavy. So the genetics that we were hunting down there had some red dirt and really tall brow tines, and just probably the nicest deer I've ever seen, even to date. And it was old. It was probably 6.5-year-old deer. But it was still early in the season, so it was like, okay, let him walk, and we'll see him again. And I wish That's a hard question.
Yeah, it is. Man, I'm intrigued a little bit by your your definition of trophy hunting, and I like it a little bit. You know, it's just normally the term trophy hunting gets a bad name or gets associated with, you know, these guys that just pay big money for a weekend hunt out there on a high fence place to go out there and, you know, have a guide walk them out and, you know, show them a 230-inch crazy looking deer, and that's that.
Yeah.
But as you just mentioned, you also associated it with the word conservation, and you're coming at it from a management standpoint. And I
Hmm.
don't I've never called myself necessarily a trophy hunter, but I'm 100% with you there on the management side of everything, because
Yep.
it it is hard to let a deer walk for whatever your reasoning may be. If you have a nice buck in front of you, it is hard to let that deer pass, knowing that a neighbor or somebody else, you know, might have a chance at him. But
Hmm.
the flip side of that is, you know, you if you want good deer, you got to pass good deer at the same time, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the that's the line a lot of guys, myself included, have to walk year to year, is looking at some of these bucks and deciding, like, man, is that my one this year? Am I even going to see him next year? You know, is he going to be
Yeah.
worth it and everything? And, you know, in my mind too, it's like if I have a buck walk out, there's almost been this, like, if I'm asking myself those questions sometimes, I probably should let the deer walk. If I have a buck walk out and I'm like, oh, that's a shooter, there's no
Yep.
doubt, you know. And that's the contrast that I've put to some of this stuff. Like, and even looking at my pictures, like, I've looked at so many trail cam pictures of different bucks this past year, and it's like, I don't know about him, he's iffy. I don't know about him. But then this big, you know, big 160 class that we had out there, there's another just monster 8 point that I had on the south side of the property. Both those bucks, I was like, the second I saw a picture, I was like, that's a shooter buck. It's like, if that
Yeah.
buck walks out in front of me, there is no doubt in my mind that he's getting an arrow flung at him, you know. So
Yeah, I think it really kind of depends. I mean, it depends on what your setup is. I
right.
mean, if you're surrounded by, I mean, obviously knowing your neighbors too, I think that's big. I mean, being out there in the off season, meeting your neighbors, to look, trying to figure out what kind of hunters they are, because we're not killers, we're hunters, and but you know, you'd hate to see a young 4.5-year-old stud get taken. And so really just having those conversations with your neighboring guy, you know, hunters, you know, letting them know how you hunt, that builds trust, because if they don't know how you hunt and you don't know how they hunt, well, they're probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, they're just going to take this deer, so I might as well just take him.
Yeah.
Well, if there's some trust there, you can grow that herd and you can grow those big deer without taking them at 3.5, 4.5 years old. So that's a big piece, and it's sometimes it's hard. And I mean, I've chambered many a bullets, ready to fire or ready to go, and I'm like, all right, need a second, you know, start holding my breath, and I'm like, man, do I need to take this deer? And you know, and I've unchambered a lot of bullets because of that. But you know, that's all about being a hunter too, and being raised in South Texas, hunting in South Texas, low fence. You know, we didn't have as much pressure back then. You know, and now being where we're at, it's like, man, there is a little bit different pressure, and you really have to take everything into account as you hunt.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah, every year is different for us, and every year I grow. You know, in hunting, and it's like, man, what am I doing this for? Am I doing it for the meat? What's my goal this year? And really just establishing that, and then watching the cameras. And this is our first year to hunt with cameras,
Yeah.
and so that was a unique experience for us because we didn't get to watch all these deer before. We were out there in the field. We saw what we saw, and that was it. So seeing these deer now and being able, I loved it. I mean, there's some strategy involved, and use the technology. A lot of guys up north, don't quite understand it, but we can. It really helps us be even more so on the conservation side because you can watch all these deer.
Yeah.
And so, we're, that's us, man. That's how all four of us hunt, really.
That's awesome. Well, last question I got for you, and then we'll bring it home. What's at the top of your bucket list? What are some of those hunts that would be a once in a lifetime for you that you haven't gotten to do yet?
Man, I've got a lot. Axis is definitely on the list, on the hit list. I've got 4 kids. The oldest one's 8, so I've been a little busy.
Yeah.
But I've since got a TV in the bedroom, so really got into watching a lot of hunts. I'd really like to go to Africa over the next few years. I think that would be awesome. I know it's pretty dangerous at the moment. So when everything calms down, I'd like to get over there. Really just being on an elk hunt. I don't really want to go fling an arrow or shoot an elk right now. But I'd like to earn my stripes a little bit and go maybe do some filming on a buddy's elk hunt and just really experience that with a group of guys. I think that's really where I'm leaning, man. I really want the camaraderie on a group hunt. And I think that's the best memories when you're with the boys, you're toughing it out, you're chasing deer, you're talking strategy. That's what I really am excited for over the next couple of years. And, if I get to take an animal, it'd be blessed to do it, but really just being out there in the field and then hopefully bringing my boys and my daughter out there too, man. That's what I live for.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, brother, I appreciate your time and you coming on the podcast this week as our guest.
Yeah.
It's we're proud to be partnered with y'all. We love the Hoot gear as people have heard us go on and on about it, and I'm excited to see where both our brands go in our respective ways and in working together. I think it's going to be a good year, and I'm excited.
Likewise, man. We appreciate all y'all's support, man. We really love what you guys do. We love the product you guys put out, and we stand behind what you guys are doing to the fullest. And to have our brand associated with y'all, man, it's a blessing, and we're excited to go into 2024.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show again. Appreciate you guys, and I'm sure we'll do it again sometime. And hopefully maybe in 24, another thing we can add to the list is sharing a hunt camp together at some point. That'd be pretty cool too. So.
Oh yeah. Sitting by a fire, baby.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Well, for our listeners, thanks for tuning in, whether you're coming from the Hoot side or the Fall Obsession side. Another Fall Obsession podcast in the books. I appreciate you guys listening. Be sure you subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. Hit up all the socials. Be sure you guys go follow Hoot Camo on social media. All the platforms. I think I've seen you guys on just about everything, it seems like. You got some TikToks coming out and everything too, which has been fun to watch. So be sure you follow everything. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on your notifications. That way you guys get notified every time we drop a new podcast episode. And that discount code, if you guys are wanting to place an order with these Hoot guys, is Fall Obsession 15. Go knock yourself a few dollars off your next purchase and get you into some good quality gear. But thanks for listening. We're back again next week for another podcast, and I will catch you guys then.